Dominic Solanke scorpion kick. Yeah, you. Spurs 2, Man City 2. What a comeback and what a performance from Spurs in that second half. I mean, that silly season at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Is that the third Puskas potential winning goal we've seen there? I don't know. Son, Burnley, Mickey van der Ven, Copenhagen, Dominic Solanke versus Man City. You let me know in the comments. And let me know in the comments, please, your thoughts on that game. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video as well if you enjoyed it. We're going to be getting into it. There'll be a further, longer tactical breakdown to come tomorrow. I've just got home from the game, recorded a few bits, and I want to get into the game now with you guys. So there'll be a longer video tomorrow. And anything that happens on deadline day as well, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it, so you can stay across everything. Look, much better from Tottenham in that second half. This has been an all too familiar story, though, in terms of first half, not good enough, too passive, allowing City to play through us with such ease. I mean, the team, obviously today with the back three again, and the way that Frank set up and the kind of the attitude in which we set up with was to try and negate them, was to try and just sit in and soak up pressure. But that first half performance was so confusing because despite that being the objective, it felt like, because we didn't really have any sort of attacking game plan or any ability to try and progress through the thirds of the pitch, we were still leaving them so much space to be able to play through us. We were so passive off the ball as well and allowed the likes of Rodri, Bernardo Silva, O'Reilly at times kind of picking it up from deeper and moving into central midfield. So much time on it to do whatever they wanted with it. And then we had no real threat going forwards, no spark whatsoever. I mean, there were individual errors aplenty across that first half as well, which obviously when you are playing as poorly as Spurs were and the setup was as bad as it was and the attitude was as bad as it was, I thought it was a really pathetic first half performance. I use those words. We just rolled over, were so poor, let Man City play for us. The goals are so soft. Basuma obviously makes the mistake for the first goal, loses the ball, ends up fouling the player. Shirky goes through, runs through and scores. Dragusin's probably got to do better to get closer to him to try and block the shot, and Vicario maybe could do better to stop it, but it all comes from Basuma. And then Dragusin obviously for the second goal as well tries to boot it back into the centre of the pitch for Spurs to play out straight to a Man City player, and then they turn it over and it's just so easy for Semenyo from there. And I felt for Dragusin, to be honest, and I actually wanted, he's a positive that I want to touch on actually in that second half, because I thought in the second half he improved a lot. And bearing in mind, this is a guy that a lot of our fan base have obviously just kind of written off, and I don't think he's a part of our long-term future with Danso, Van der Ven, Romero and Vuskovic probably likely to be the four centre-backs next year. I mean, did you see Vuskovic's goal last night, by the way? And performance. What a play. But I thought he did really well second half. I thought he kept Haaland quite quiet. He's playing on the wrong side as well, left centre-back. Responsibilities in possession, which we know aren't really his strong points. And he hasn't played football in over a year for us. I got a bit of stick on Twitter this evening for kind of sticking up for Dragusin, saying fair. All I said was fair play to Radu Dragusin, by the way. And people are like, he was rubbish, all this kind of stuff. It's like, I think that's been really harsh, if I'm being honest. I think that's being a bit over the top and a bit harsh to say he was rubbish. Bearing in mind when you look at the context of how far he's come in terms of the injury and the recovery to get to this stage and being thrown in a mess of a team, a rag bag of a situation, playing in that back three. And to then, actually, when Romero comes off at half-time, who was ill, according to Thomas Frank, we all said it, me and my mates at half-time were like, reckon he's just gone in there and gone like that to Frank, or just said really how he felt and was like, this is rubbish, I'm out of here, I'm not playing anymore. But apparently he was ill, so we'll see. But I thought, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the dressing room to see what really happened. But yeah, and it was really poor. Like players just in positions that don't really suit. Archie Gray's a right wing back. You know, we just really struggled to get up the pitch. And I felt for Xavi Simons really, because, and he is the guy that I want to talk about for the bulk of this video from a Spurs positive perspective. Because I think the second half was entirely positive. But we cannot keep starting games like we do, in that first half today. First half, we had 36% of the ball. We only had 3 shots. We couldn't really get out. We were so passive and let City just play through us. Shirky, obviously, that Vicario made that really good save from him, but it was so easy for them to kind of turn the ball over. We were so passive out of possession as well to just let them kind of play through us. You look at the momentum bar. City had a bit towards the end, but all in the first half, it was all them, and it could have been more. And I don't think they got out of third gear. in that first half, honestly. It was a walk in the park for them. It was exactly the same as Aston Villa. Again, a game in the FA Cup where you're not showing anywhere near enough bravery kind of going forward to go out and win the game. And Aston Villa pick you off, play through the lines with such ease to open you up, coupled with defensive errors as well. And it just creates this absolute mess where the fans are so frustrated. We're not seeing anything anywhere near the level of what we need to be seeing in terms of bravery, taking the game to them. Our press felt like it was just half-assed, really. Again, the players in kind of wrong positions. It was so clear that I think we needed an extra man in midfield. So Romero comes off at half-time for Sarr. We get the extra man in midfield, which I think obviously helped a lot. I think Gallagher got a lot better in the second half. Sarr, I think, made a difference. Paulinho and Dragusin as a centre-back partnership in the second half, by the way. I thought they did really well in the circumstances, to be fair to them. But as is the case of what we've seen in the Villa game and other games as well so far this season, it is easy to play without that pressure in the second half when you're 2-0 down and you're throwing everything at it. This cannot keep happening at Tottenham, because what we saw in that second half and what we've seen in the second half, like Villa and that, are really encouraging. And big players come into the fore leading that charge. And Xavi Simons, none more so than him. I'll come to him in a sec because I want to talk about Dom Solanke. Not just an incredible goal from him, two really good bits of centre-forward play. Look, I think he's lucky. I do think he's lucky with the first one because I think he kicks through Gahey. And I think if that had gone against my team, I would have been pretty annoyed that wasn't given as a foul. I think that's fair to say. But it's an excellent ball from Xavi over the top for him. And the strength that he shows, I think it's Kusanov to sort of just, no, my ball, get away to create that separation, then chops back with that little sort of Ronaldo chop, and then gets the finish off, obviously, and does kick through Gahey. But it's brilliant centre-forward play. In that second half, he was a constant outlet for us as well. Helped link things together. I thought he was a Trojan in that game, Solanke. I really, really thought he was. And that's 4 goals in 3 games now for him coming back, or 4 goals in 3 starts. Those stats are a little bit inflated because obviously he's come back off the bench against Villa and those kind of things. But in the last 3 games, he scored 4... is it last 3 games he scored 4 goals? Or last 3 starts? You know what I mean? He's got 4 goals now in his last 3. A brace today and obviously a goal against Frankfurt and a goal against Borussia Dortmund as well. And, you know, the Dortmund one was a bit scruffy. But the Frankfurt one was a really good finish. And then today, again, that is quality, the Scorpion kick. It's absolutely quality from Solanke. And it was a brace that his performance deserved as well. In the first half, not too much, obviously, in the game. But I thought he linked the play really well in the second half. And he just fights and he battles. And, you know, it takes a lot. I think Kusanov has been playing well recently. Gay is a top defender. So to get the best out of both of them in that second half, I thought he played so well, Dom. And it's just such a relief to have him back. Apparently, he came out after the game and said that it was just he rolled his ankle. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. He seemed in good spirits in the post-match with Sky as well, from what I saw. But yeah, excellent. Gary Neville said that first half had the pace and intensity. From what people were saying in the group chat, because I was at the game today, said that it felt like a charity match, and it was embarrassing the way they played through us. It really, really was. And City just, you know, I think almost took their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half, but it was much better from Tottenham. We had a chance around 5 minutes in with a doggy, forcing that brilliant save from Donnarumma. Obviously, Donnarumma makes another brilliant save from the one from Xavi Simons that was deflected as well. But there was more intent. And again, it is really frustrating that this has become a pattern of the first half performance not being good enough, being so passive. It's not sustainable. Because it won't be every game where Xavi is able to bail you out. But what I love about Xavi is the Aston Villa game was the same. He stands up when it gets tough. He does. He does not hide whatsoever. Look at the stats today. And I think this sums up exactly what I love about him as a player. I had a tweet that went a little bit viral because Gooner's got on it early when we signed Xavi, and he came on against Brighton and turned the game around for us, saying that I think his mentality is great. I think obviously Eze would have been a great signing for us, but I don't think Eze does that. I don't think he turns a game around. And I wish I hadn't have deleted it now. I only deleted it because I was getting dogs abuse and I couldn't be bothered for it just blowing up my phone. But I think I was right. I don't think Eze does that for Tottenham today. I don't think he does. I think Xavi's mentality is really, really strong. And these are the stats that I think really kind of reflect that. Had the most amount of touches, and in the first half, right? Sorry, these two more so than anything actually. But yeah, had the most amount of touches, 84 touches in the game. You know, that's got to be up there with some of the most amount of touches he's had in the game for Spurs, which is encouraging. So finding more in the right areas. First half, again, the criticism that I have about Xavi is some underhit passes, weight of passes a little bit wrong at times. Also, his shooting is a little bit powder puff. There was one that came back to him on the edge of the box in the first half, where I can't actually remember now because the game was so carnage. He either got a shot off that was just rolled back to Donnarumma or just couldn't or didn't actually get a shot off. But he's kind of shooting in those areas has been a bit powder puff anyway. We just want him to put his foot through it. And that is something that Eze does have over him, by the way, in terms of the quality of finishing from outside the box. But I think it will come with Simons as confidence comes. And I don't think it's any real coincidence that on the same weekend, Wirtz has his performance against a big team, on telly, 8 o'clock, prime time for people to watch last night against Newcastle, where he really arrives. And I think Xavi, this is what we've been waiting for, a performance on a Super Sunday, 4:30, where all eyes are on the game, all eyes are on Spurs Man City. Because we've been seeing the little bits, we've been seeing the nuggets that are there, we've been seeing the improvement in his game, right? And we're still waiting for that to kind of manifest itself more in goals and assists. And with Wirtz, it obviously has. I think he's got 6 goals and 3 assists in his last 10 games now for Liverpool. So Simons, I think, obviously, once the numbers start to become more frequent, the noise will die down. But also performing like that in a big game for Tottenham and dragging Tottenham back into that game in the second half, that is what will shut the noise out. That is the exact sort of performance his doubters in the fan base, but also outside of the fan base, who are generating most of the narrative by saying he's flopped or whatever, that's what they needed to see. And I think Xavi gave him exactly that today. But the Jules one, he was really strong today. And I think the thing that I loved about his performance the most was summed up in the chance that he created for Odegaard at 2-2, where I can't remember if it's Nunez or Kusanov. And I'll go back. I'm going to watch the game back tomorrow, and then we'll do a deep dive debrief tomorrow, which make sure to subscribe for a tactical breakdown. And I'm looking forward to doing it because the second half was great. Where he shoves them off the ball, wins it back, says, that's mine, and then gets the byline, takes a player on, and then tries to cut it back for Odegaard. He just couldn't quite get there. If that had gone in, then, I mean, he already got an assist in the game, showing his quality with the outside of the foot, Trivela pass over the top to Solanke, perfectly weighted. And that's one thing, like I said, we've questioned, is that weight of pass at times. It was perfect. But if he'd have got that assist, it would have summed up what he does so well for me, because he does not stop fighting. He does not stop battling. Like I've said, I said it in a TikTok just now. I think when things are difficult, sometimes it's easy for number 10s to kind of go missing in the game, because there can always kind of be the excuse of, well, you know, we're not playing on the front foot enough. They're not getting the ball in the right areas, the right pockets, which I think has been a big symptom as to why Xavi Simons has not performed as well as we know he can and as well as he should do for the hype and the ability we know he's got so far at Tottenham, even though there's been a lot of good stuff there that we've all kind of seen, but other people maybe not so much, right? Because our inability to progress the ball centrally through the pitch massively limits a player like Xavi Simons. But what he was doing today was never hiding, getting on the ball a lot, and he's been doing this consistently in other games as well, to be fair. It's nothing you can ever accuse him of, but in a big game, he showed his personality. He plays with so much personality on that pitch. He was winning the ball back high up the pitch. He was getting fouled as well because he dribbles past players, wants to take them on, wants to be brave, and he's getting hacked down. It's happening consistently now as well, which shows you that he is a threat to defenders. He was getting shots off as well. If that goal had gone in for Donnarumma, I know with Donnarumma's save, I know it took a deflection, but that would have just really put the icing on the cake, as I think that assist would have done to Odegaard as well, because I think it summed up and encapsulated perfectly what his game is about, but what it was all about today. That never say die attitude. I'm going to put the team on my back and we're going to go here. He is such a beautiful player to watch when everything's flowing, because he moves so quickly. He's got lovely kind of hips in terms of the way he sways away from people and embraces contact and doesn't fear that. He's a brave player, Xavi Simons, and that's really what we need right now. We need some personality in this team, and it got us back into the game today as well. What a second half performance. It really was. And there was a lot of good second half performances. I thought Conor Gallagher was much better in the second half. Again, obviously, he played a big part in this goal. That's the best performance he's had, I think, so far for Spurs. The first half, I thought his technical limitations were kind of there for people to see, like missed time and passes. Maybe he's still adjusting back to the pace of the Premier League, because I think he was a little bit too late to like every tackle as well. I didn't think he was great in the first half, but second half, I think that goal, Solanke's goal, summed up everything that he's like. That's his bag there. That's his game in a nutshell. Win the ball back up the pitch, drive forward with it, try and produce something in the final third. And it was a good cross for Solanke, who obviously got the the scorpion kick. But yeah, much better from Gallagher. I thought Sarr made an impact when he came on. I thought, other than Byfield, who was on the pitch for like 9 minutes or whatever at the end, and again, he did fine. I thought all the subs made an impact. I thought Tell made an impact in terms of driving forward the ball, looking to be positive. I thought Odebear made an impact as well, not so much as what we've been seeing in recent games. It's really good to have him available after we thought he was going to be injured. So maybe it was just a smaller thing, and hopefully he can be fine and can kind of get over that. But he was getting fouled. He was taking City players on. Again, I thought it was good, linking up with Xavi a lot as well. And I thought all the subs made an impact. I thought Sarr was good as well. Yeah, like I said, I thought Paulinho and Dragusin as a centre-back pairing in that second half as well. Fair play to him. I thought Archie Gray really grew into the game in the second half as well, wanting to be brave, wanting to drive forward. He looked on his haunches at the end. He went down and the medical team had to come over at the end of the game. Hopefully that's nothing too serious. But again, showing his value as a versatile kind of player. And look, there's still big problems with the Spurs team, and I think a lot of it is in that midfield. And I've spoken about Gallagher and Sarr, and did we need to sign Gallagher when you've already got a player of that kind of profile with Sarr? And I'm not taking anything away from Gallagher today because of his performance, but we're still desperately needing someone that can control the game, put their foot on the ball, and play through the lines with intent. And I think that unlocks the likes of Xavi even more. And I think one day we will see Xavi Simons playing a good Spurs team, and it will be brilliant. I'm really excited to see Simons and Solanke relationship develop over the next few weeks as well, because I think having someone who's a reliable kind of backboard for the team who can link play really nicely in those kind of pockets in Solanke will bring Simons' game to the fore even more. I think I spoke about that a few weeks ago, what we saw with Maddison and Solanke last season. How many times would Maddison play that little ball outside of his boot into Solanke, and Solanke would give it straight back to him by the time Maddison's moved around the defender and then can get a shot off. So yeah, really good fight, really good character, but we can't keep starting games like this. But there is a lot to be positive about, and hopefully with the run of games that we've got coming up, now we've actually got back into a game like that against a good team who I thought City were poor in that second half. And I said it, I didn't think they had to get third gear really in that first half. We made it so easy for them, and then the moment you apply a bit of pressure, you see them crumble. And that's why, sadly, I don't think they're going to win the league, and the Gooners are, but I don't care about that today. We really needed points and something to build on. And it's 4 games unbeaten. I was really annoyed after Burnley about not being able to control the game. It was a good start, a good finish, but again, a good finish because you're throwing everything at it. Second half, again, similar today. Second half performance was good because we needed to throw everything at it. We need to be able to control games better. We need to be able to come to these games with a better aggressive game plan, not just soak up pressure, not be so passive and let them just play for us, because Arsenal will beat us if we do that. I'm looking at this Newcastle game thinking that is a real opportunity for Spurs. And if we get 3 points there and come out of this, even if we lose to the Gooners, which obviously I don't want to, and maybe lose at United next week because they're obviously in this new manager bounce, good reign of form, but even then they showed cracks today with Fulham getting back into the game, then I think we'll be all right if we can come out of that with 4 points in this month. But hopefully, now the fact that we actually, because we've threatened to get back into games like this in recent kind of months where we've not been anywhere near as good, not anywhere near good enough in the first half, and not been proactive, been reactive, and, not quite got back into the game. Villa was a prime example of that, right? But we actually did today against City. We did. So hopefully that can just instill a little bit of confidence, inject something into this group to say, look, we've got good players here. Let's use this as a springboard and a platform to actually try and turn a corner, because we've threatened to turn corners so far this season under Thomas Frank, and we've not done it. We've hit a brick wall as we've turned the corner, gone into a cul-de-sac. Whereas, and it could well be the same here, right? Because we need to still be able to develop that better aggressive game plan at home to take the team on, to take the game to teams. And that is going to be so important in games like Palace, Forest and Leeds, who we've still got to play at home. 3 teams who are below us, and we've struggled to be the dominant force in those kind of games. But if we can play with the quality, play quickly like we did today as well, and the confidence that we did in that second half, then we shouldn't have a problem against those kind of teams. But we need to be able to actually do that. We've not seen enough evidence of it so far. But look, well done to Tottenham for that second half performance. Xavi Simons, you were exceptional. Dominic Solanke, exceptional. Everyone played well in the second half. Basuma was probably the worst player overall, but look, we take that, we move on with a point, and hopefully it can be a bit of a springboard for us, but we'll see. Busy deadline day, hopefully for Spurs tomorrow. We shall see. Again, there's going to be a tactical breakdown for you to enjoy tomorrow, so get your teeth stuck into that when it comes out, and obviously there'll be some videos, and maybe, maybe a little bit of a return of a Darren and doing live streams tomorrow. Get Will on the old blower and see what happens. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it for me, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one tomorrow. Up the Spurs.